It's Wednesday, August 22nd. And here's...
8 days left till August.
I can't even.
Oh, no.
Do you feel that you have to jam everything in? I don't know about like who's listening to us, if they're all over the place, mostly Long Island people, but if you're on Long Island, what do? We count the weekends, right?
We do.
And so we start with a little bit in June, and then it's really just July and August. So the way, because when you have kids, June isn't really like a party month because you're mostly dealing with school still.
Right.
So,
but we're done with that.
We're done with that. But my mind is still that way. I don't know why. I really can't feel like it's really summer until it's July. Okay. You don't feel that way?
No, I start early. Well,
with the boat,
I have the little boat, and I try to get all of June out of it, and as much as September. But it's a short season, and every year we say it goes fast,
and it keeps going faster and faster and faster.
You
know what it is too? I have a work deadline that is the third Tuesday in May. So by the time I'm done with that deadline, and by the time I clean up my office and get everything just settled with that deadline, I take a couple of weeks at work, and then at the end of the June, I start saying, okay, I'm taking Fridays off, and I extend my weekends, and
the summer Friday.
And I got to tell you something right now. It is touch and go. I mean, I was off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And when I showed up for work on Tuesday, I'm not gonna lie, I was still drunk. I mean, I'm really not. It was crazy. I just felt like
I don't know how you do that. I mean, I'm not much of a drinker.
It's a joke. Like we were talking about this. I'm not. The stuff that I'm saying might be a little bit the truth stretch, but. You're out Saturday, you're out Sunday, you're having cocktails, people are coming over, you're drinking, you're eating, you're going to bed late, so, you're not necessarily...
I'm not much of a drinker, so it's hard for me to relate to the drinking piece and the effects of that.
Do you go to bed late or early?
On the weekends a little later, but during the week, I'm settling down between 9 and 10.
Well, listen, I'm going to put it right out here. Christine's having coffee. God damn it, I'm opening the wine, okay? I'll be opening the wine because we need wine, because it's Wine Down Wednesday in the living room, and that's what it's all about. You know what I wanted to ask you, too? Forget about the summer, like the Saturdays in the summer, but on a normal day that's not a Saturday in the summer, how many hours a day do you relax?
Oh, gosh, very few.
Yeah?
Very few. I feel like my whole day is under pressure. I mean, and that's just life. Working, not working, mom, grown kids, whatever it is.
And your kids are older and you still feel pressure.
Yeah, there's the pressure to get it all done to maybe be able to relax.
Yeah. So what happened to me today was I worked all day. I went running this morning, and before I went running, I did 4 loads of laundry and cooked dinner. Then I went for a run, and then after my run, I went to work. After work, I came home. I wanted to gather my notes for the show, and my dog wanted to go out. So she's like this, and she's like this on my arm, and I'm like, Lola, give me a break.
Yeah. And another reason I don't have an animal.
And I kind of yelled at her, and I felt really, really bad. And I said to myself, I'm doing the same thing to her that I did to my kids. So I immediately got up and took her out and sat on the front steps because I had mother guilt. Man.
It's another thing to take care of. That's why I don't.
But she gives back so much love.
You do the same thing to me.
That's right. I do that for everybody.
You have to take Pete for walks?
Yeah, at least twice a day. At least twice a day. But yeah, you try to relax. You try to fit in a little time. Do you read on the boat?
Oh gosh, the only place I really do get to read, because when I get to the boat on Friday nights, I'm really dropping out of life, and that's why I'm rushing all week in the summer to get everything done, because it's really only a 4-day week.
Yeah.
Because I do nothing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday but work on my tan and read.
It's so funny you're talking about that.
Tan, I know people.
Well, I read A Simple Favor. The movie's coming out. I always have this thing that I can't read a book after I watch the movie, so I have to read the book before the movie. I read A Simple Favor. Very good. Last couple of chapters might have been jumping the shark, when they start getting stupid.
Okay.
But it was a really, really good book, and I couldn't put it down. I was actually at my friend's beach house for the weekend, and I was being unsocial because so I was sneaking away into my room.
Yeah, that's my problem when I read. I do nothing else. The kids just have to change their own diapers. Yeah. When I was in like 2nd grade, I used to bring books out onto the playground, and the teacher came to me and said, Chrissy, you can't bring the book out to the playground.
Why?
And I said, why? She said, well, they want you to run around.
Why?
And I looked at her, I said, but I'm reading.
That's hysterical.
And she
Yeah,
said,
so-
I know, Chrissy, I'll give you time later to read.
Yeah, well, it was, you know what,
I
it was a
love to
great
read.
book, so if you get a chance to read it, the movie's coming out, it was really good, and I can't wait to see the movie with Blake Lively, I love her.
She's adorable.
But you were just talking about working on your tan, so, funny that you should say that, because right there, baby, it says dermatology
Good for
appointment,
you.
and the reason why,
It's
well,
on
you
my
know,
list.
but I have to tell you, I'm embarrassed to go, because I know he's gonna look at me and go, you know what? You deserve everything you get, lady.
Yeah.
I don't bake, but I guinea up so quick. It's
Uh,
like I'm out in the sun for 6 minutes. I'm black.
Yeah, I have not worked on this
I haven't
tan
worked on
at
this.
all.
Terry
I'm
told
in
me
the
this
shade
morning.
after about noon
Are you wearing
every
50
day.
on your face?
No.
I'm gonna tell you, I wear 50 on my face. I try to wear a rash guard. I do put sunblock on my arms, but the thing is it's my genetics. I'm Italian. It's my grandmother used to scrub my knees. That's how black I used to get. She used to think it was dirt. It was
dirt.
tan. But, you know, I am a little embarrassed to go to the dermatologist because I
Yeah.
know he's going to say to me, look, you have a tumor, you deserved it.
I might have told this story before. My husband's endocrinologist, she's Russian, looked at me one day when I went to an appointment with him and said, Chris, you're getting way too much vitamin D.
That's hysterical. Is there such a thing as too much vitamin D? Well, all I
But
can tell-
apparently you don't hold on to it because then I get tested and my vitamin D is low. Is everyone's vitamin D low?
I've never gotten tested. I need to do it. It's
I bet
something I
it's
need
low.
to
Well,
do.
maybe not now in the
I
summer.
need a bone density test.
apparently, yeah.
But yeah, so that's the other thing. And the other thing I'm really twisted about right now is I lost my sunglasses. I lost my
Oh.
Prada sunglasses.
Yeah.
It pisses me off when I lose something because at the end of the day, I got to buy another pair.
I never lose the expensive one. I'm sorry, the cheap
No,
ones.
no, the
I
cheapies.
lose the expensive
Hold on a
ones.
second. How many pairs of cheapies do I have?
Uh-huh.
Okay, hold
Have
on.
every pair
I
of
have
those.
my fake Christian Dior. I will have these for 35 years.
Yep.
They were $10. Okay.
Yep.
I know I look like a bug, but I really like them. But it's killing me that I lost these sunglasses. I'm like,
No matter how hard I try.
Saint Anthony, please come around. Something is lost and cannot be found. I want my Prada sunglasses, please. Okay.
Maybe they're at the beach house.
I don't know. I have to look. If they were at the beach house, somebody probably took them. You know how that works. You leave it there. What do they say?
Yeah.
It's open game when you leave something at a beach house.
I did a
Um,
fun thing today. Not today. Well, this week, a fun thing happened.
What? What
Bought a
happened?
car.
Stop! What'd you buy? And more importantly, did your son smack it up yet?
Oh
As long
my
as- as long as
gosh.
nobody was hurt.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, Trev, but I gotta give you a
cannot
shout
believe-
out.
Lori has a new car and under 2,000 miles. Her.
1,800 miles, my son
Mhm.
hits the front bumper. Thank you. I got my sports car. I worked all my life and I bought myself a little sports car. Bam! 1,800 miles.
Yeah,
Kids, the
be
gift that keeps on giving.
twisting. I'd be twisting. Just a RAV4 adventure. It's kind of
Oh, I
sporty.
love it. I love
It's got
it.
a lot of personality.
I
so
love
I'm
a
picking it up
Toyota.
tomorrow. Yeah.
You know what? I
haven't
have
had a new car in about 8 years, so
Congrats.
I'm excited.
Cheers. We got to pour the wine.
Cheers.
Cheers. Listen, before we go to commercial break, I have a feeling that Colleen, our producer, is probably going to smack us because we always go over with host chat. We have another minute. Well, there you go. I just wanted to give a shout out to Lexi Shaw. She was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer in May, and she had to have her left kidney removed. They did a bake sale at IGA on Park Boulevard.
Oh.
This is local in Massapequa Park. And I put on the Living Room Radio Show page if you want to donate to her, which I think is such a great thing when there's someone in our town that we could help. So you can go to our page, her name is Lexi Shaw, and donate to her.
Okay, real quick, just
What?
to jump off that, I don't know if you saw Richard Cowan's post.
Of course
Some
I
you-
did. He texted me. Wait, should I read it? No.
Sure. If some of you may remember, we had Richard Cowan. He has been battling an aggressive form of cancer. He has been training. He told us about his journey and preparing to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. Well, he reached the summit yesterday, and it is very exciting.
He said, I made it to the roof of Africa yesterday. It was so hard. When I told passing trekkers, they said no one does that route. They told him that, they tell them that it's either closed or it's too dangerous. And
Amazing.
I said, I expected nothing less from you. And I cannot wait to have him on the couch to talk about it. And more importantly, he wanted to raise
He's raising money.
$19,000 because that was the height of the mountain, and he raised it. So there you go.
Congratulations,
Congratulations, Richard Cowan. We love you. And I think we're going to take a break and be right back with...
With Joe Salamone, the Executive Director of the Long Island Coalition Against Bullying.
Be right back.
Hi, I'm Roger,
And I'm Steve.
and we own this house together.
Zap My Tax was so successful with our tax grievance.
We saved over $1,700 in our first year alone. And now we're signing up again.
In fact, we are so happy with Zap My Tax, we decided to save even more money and use Zap My Insurance as well.
Zap My Tax and Zap My Insurance. 2 great choices and 2 great ways to save money.
Hello, my name is Christopher Rathbun from Big Kahuna Productions, where we are artists first and photographers second. If you'd like to book us for our services, please call 631-245-9417. Until then, back to the Living Room Show on Strong Island TV.
Welcome back to the living room. As promised, I'm here with Joe Salamone. Thank you for being here, Joe. He's such a wonderful man. He is the executive director of the Long Island Coalition Against Bullying. It is a 501c3 funded by donations, fundraisers, and grants, and it emphasizes the importance of bully-free communities on Long Island through education, awareness, and therapeutic outlets.
That is so awesome. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You're celebrating your 5-year anniversary.
We are on September 5th.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
So, kind of try to think about, where 5 years has gone, and sometimes I'm not really sure.
Boom, like that.
Blink of an eye.
Literally
Like
Blink
that.
of an eye.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So how did you start Like Him?
I was bullied as a kid, and just kind of growing up with it from 6th grade pretty much all the way through 11th, 12th grade. It never really, at varying degrees, it kind of came and went.
That's a shame.
Yeah, of course then there was no social media, so it was,
Yeah.
the
That's-
roughest
yeah,
day that you
yeah.
could have was whoever saw something or heard something in the school, and then when you went home, it was okay,
We're
unless
just
you were
talking
getting
about
bullied
that,
at
yeah.
home too.
And you grew
Wow.
up here on Long Island.
Yeah,
Wow.
predominantly in Deer Park. And when 2013 rolled around, I had grown up. Obviously, I had been really interested in nonprofit work, and I was sitting in an emergency room in Good Samaritan Hospital, and I was waiting for my parents to rotate because you're not allowed to have more than one person in a curtain area for an adult and that kind of stuff. So a couple of kids came in and sat down to my left, and they watched a special needs individual come in with his parents, and these couple of kids started openly mocking, making hand gestures.
Oh, God.
It's so heartbreaking.
Yeah, and the frustration for me is,
How old were you at that time?
that was when I was 20. I'm 31 now, so I was 25. I probably
Okay,
think my math
okay.
might be off, but
All right. You're such a baby.
so I was sitting there, and I said, look, I have a tendency of having a temper sometimes, so I could either get really angry, which probably wouldn't solve a whole lot of anything,
Yeah.
or I could try to do something that would have a little bit more of a lasting impact. Nobody in the waiting room did anything. The family ended up just relocating to another part of the waiting room, and it was twofold disappointing. One, the fact that we still lived in a society where those kids felt like they could do that with an audience and it was okay.
Yeah.
And conversely, that everybody else did nothing to stunt their action. So fast forward 5 years, this is where we are.
That's awesome. That's amazing. At 25 years old, you had no problem just doing it? Like, what was your first step? I'm always interested in this. Like, what'd you do? Go to somebody and say, I want to do this, and then
I
just do it?
did. I went to an individual named Robert Policastro. He runs an organization on the island called Angela's House. They work with kids with special health care needs.
Okay.
I've known him for a long time through my 9-to-5 paying work. And he was the very first person I went to. I said, listen, I have this crazy idea. What do you think about it? And he was like, go for it. There's a need for it. And you kind of self-validate as you go on. Because
Yeah.
if you weren't finding success, you probably either were just completely off the mark, or there really wasn't a niche for you to find.
Yeah.
And the fact that I like to believe, and we've been told from outside people, that the success that we have seen is because we identified the niche that a lot of people always kind of felt like was always out there, and the need to be filled, the void was out there. And now that we've kind of shined the spotlight on it, now it's up to us, and it's our responsibility to do something about filling it, or
Yeah.
trying to fill it.
So tell us some of the ways you are able to do that. I know you have a variety of different programs
Yeah.
within the agency to help.
Yeah, the very basic, if there's anybody out there who has a child that they think is being bullied or know is being bullied, they can call. Once they call, or they can tell us online, they can reach out through Facebook. The first thing we would do is somebody returns the call and just talks about what the actual issue is. Part of it, a lot of times, is education. The misconception of what bullying is and what it really is and is not creates a lot more phone calls. There is a large, not to get off on a tangent, but it is important, there is a pretty big misunderstanding of what is and is not bullying.
So what is that?
If somebody says, you know, I don't like your hair today, or I think you look fat, those are insults. They're not nice things to say, but bullying is three core things. There has to be an intent to cause harm, there has to be repetition, and there has to be an imbalance of power. If you're just walking and somebody says an off-color nasty thing to you, is that bad? Absolutely. Should it be monitored? Absolutely. But if it's never done again, and you never see that person again, you weren't the victim of bullying.
Okay.
And that person
Interesting.
was
Well,
not
that's
a
good
victim.
to clarify,
It is
because,
good to
so I was called
clarify.
four eyes,
Oh,
but they didn't
please.
do anything, so that's really not bullying.
Well,
Well, but if it's relentless.
when I say relentless, I mean like that you are a target, and when you're a target, you know you're a
You
target.
know you're a tar. I feel
It's
so
not,
bad.
you know, and you know,
I was
so
4 eyes too.
I was 4 eyes. I was the new kid. I was the fat kid. You know, I was
I
a
find
host
it hard
of
to
other
believe that
things.
you were ever fat.
Trust me, there
Not
are
that there's
pictures that are
anything wrong
not.
with it.
No, there are pictures that I'd really rather not ever see the light of day
What
again.
what
but-
made you so susceptible to bullying? Is it a type of, is it like, you know, I was never fat, but I was 4 eyes, and you know, I don't know, like
I
what-
never understood when I was bullied why I was a target. I thought I was a nice kid. I was a nice kid, but I was smart. I had glasses. The teachers liked me. My nose was in a book, as we mentioned. And for some reason, that made me a target when I was in mid young years. So what causes this? Why?
It can be a host of things. It's usually what people perceive to be as a weakness,
vulnerable.
vulnerability.
Vulnerable.
Um,
Vulnerable.
You know, in my case, when I moved from North Babylon to Deer Park, I moved just before 6th grade started, so there were already established
That is
niches.
So tough.
Clicks.
Yeah.
The cliques were established. I was going into a brand new school where nobody knew who I was. You know, and in that time, I'm not really sure how it is now, obviously, but in that time, you weren't really very quick to walk up to the kid that you've never seen before and say,
Yeah.
hey, you know, let's be friends.
Yeah.
So it was that was quick. That's the easiest thing to look for.
Yeah.
But really, it's anything that somebody can perceive to be a weakness.
And I don't want to switch the topic, but doesn't it really have more to do with the person that's doing it? Because the truth of the matter is, if there was 100 kids in the school, you may have been perceived to have a weakness, but only by that small group.
Yes.
So in my opinion, it's really not about the person being bullied, it's about the people doing the bullying. They're the ones that have the problem, come from some kind of environment that.
So I
That is
didn't.
different.
I didn't forget about your original question of what do we do, but just to get that.
Yeah.
It's absolutely that. We actually, as an organization, have kind of tried to adopt a different view of looking at it, where you can't just punish somebody for being a bully. You have to be doing something that's going to interrupt the cycle, because 9 out of 10 times kids that bully are engaging in that behavior because they're trying to express a frustration they have, a sadness they have, a feeling that they don't know how to cope with, and they're doing it. They're getting rid of that energy and those feelings in a wrong way. So, for example, if you are somebody who has an abusive parent, or a parent who's an alcoholic, or you have issues at home, or whatever the case is, kids don't know how to deal with things like that.
Yeah.
So they're
They kick the
acting
dog.
out.
They kick the dog.
Yeah, exactly. So what they're doing is they're making other people feel smaller, because it's their attempt at trying to make themselves feel bigger.
more important.
And the problem with that is that if you just punish that person, but you do nothing to try to cure the situation that's making them do it in the first place, they'll leave Joe alone and they'll move on to somebody else.
Correct.
You know.
Yeah, and this leads me to ask, one of my questions was, you know, and we're getting into a bigger picture here with the school shootings and whatnot. Many of those kids that did this kind of thing had issues of being bullies or being bullied. And mental health assistance in
Sure.
schools, through your agency, how can people get help if they are struggling?
To that point, there was a statistic that the federal government put out on their Stop Bullying website, which actually attributes 15 or so, I think is the number, of the school shootings that happened in the 90s had connections to documented cases where the shooters
Right.
were involved as victims of bullying.
Right.
Does that mean that everybody who has ever been bullied is going to bring a weapon of some
No,
kind? No,
no.
but there are statistics that also show that a child who is the victim of bullying is twice as likely to bring a weapon to school.
Really, twice as likely.
But, so going back to the
It's
original
just
question now,
heartbreaking.
It is, absolutely.
It really,
So if somebody calls us, we will talk through the issue. We will send a smile package, which is a care package that's tailored to the recipient. So it's literally like Christmas in a box. You know, it's whatever will make them smile, because let's be clear,
It's
there's
fermented.
often there not a lot of things to smile about. Then a step up from that is we will also get them into therapy. We will refer the therapist, and in addition to referring the therapist, we will also pay for the therapist.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
I think, Joe, I hate to cut you short,
So
but we're
much
gonna go
more
to
to
a
say.
quick commercial and we're gonna come right back. We got a lot of stuff here.
Dinner on Blanc, Long Island, an all-white outdoor dinner, is returning September 5th at a secret Long Island location. The dinner party will invade a well-known public location on Long Island, and Nassau Community College is a departure point for the secret location. Registration closes September 1st. More information about how you can join the party can be found at longisland.dinneronblanc.com/register.
Welcome back to the living room. If you just saw that commercial, it's about Dinner on Blanc. All the information is on our page, the Living Room Radio Show, on Facebook. It's a great event. I did one in the city. It was awesome. It's really a lot of fun. You pretty much get hooked up with a leader. You don't know where you're going. And you're on a hunt to go to a location, and there's thousands of people that are going to be there. Everybody's going to be dressed in white. The way that they did it when I did it, it was actually in Bryant Park. 4,000 people at once lined up their tables and at once sat down. Like, you get everything ready, you stand at your table, 4,000 people sit at once.
Wow.
Everything's, and then there's dinner and dancing. It's so much fun. I highly
Like
recommend you do
fundraising
it. Dinner
idea.
on Blanc, it's on the page.
I'll post it, how you did.
And Colleen's gonna post all the information. Yeah, it's an awesome thing.
Well, we're back with Joe Salamone. So many questions and things to share about bullying, and I think we may have a phone call.
Awesome, great.
Hello, you're on the living room.
Hi, it's Teresa Farrell. How you guys doing?
We're doing great.
Teresa Farrell.
Don't tell me you were bullied and that's why you're a comedian.
Yeah, you know, back in the day, I used to go home to my mother and say, Mom, I'm getting picked on in school. And kids were mean. You know, now they say bullying, but yeah, they picked on me. I mean, I had big boobs at 11 years old, so they picked on me. And then one guy called me thunder thighs. And when I was in junior high school, a guy actually snapped my bra from behind me.
Oh,
and
that's
I
got a
turned
whole
around,
new
I got
meaning
really
in
upset.
today's
I said,
day and
"Don't
age."
you
I
ever
wanna know what
put
that
your hands
means.
on me." And I got him suspended for 3 days.
You got suspended.
No, I got him suspended.
Oh, you got him
for 3 days.
suspended.
good for you.
Okay, did he
Okay.
stop?
Yeah, everything stops. But you know what it is that I think if you are quiet about it and you keep taking it, they keep pursuing you. I think either you have to act crazy or you have to answer them back in a way that they're not going to want to pick on you again. I guess they look for the weakest link is the bottom line.
They do look for the weakest link, but actually it's actually more impactful if you do ignore them, because they're looking for a reaction. They want to know that they're getting to you, that they're getting under your skin. Of course,
Right,
now
but-
it's
yeah.
a little easier said than done, especially now because
They get you at home.
Well, there is no disconnect from
Yeah.
it anymore. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
so
on
that-
it's on the internet, it's
Exactly.
on Facebook.
You know, one person sees
Right.
something and 10,000 people see it 5 minutes later. So it's a lot harder now to not get a reaction because it could be everywhere in an instant.
You know, I was gonna wait for this, but just asking. But one of the people that I work with, we were talking about bullying, and he said he was called fat when he was in school from the time he was about in first grade till about 5th grade, and he was constantly called fat. He's a Massapequa guy, as a matter of fact, and he said he owned it. He told me, "Yeah, I'm fat. So what?"
That's a
He
great
said
strategy.
because I said to him, "What do you think the best thing is to do?" And he said to own it. Yeah, I'm 4 eyes. I have glasses. So what? Like, right? That's the equivalent of ignoring it.
That's
right?
a great strategy.
Because in that respect, it's
Thank
taking
you,
away
Teresa.
Their power.
It's taking away.
Thank
yeah.
you,
Thanks
Teresa.
for taking my call, guys. It's a great show.
Thanks,
Thank
lady.
you.
Have a great day.
right.
Yeah, so.
It's taking they're looking at that, trying to use it against somebody, but if you're taking that away from them and saying, you know what, I am. I mean, is it a surefire way to make it go away? No, but it can certainly help.
Is there any surefire way of making it go away?
You know, not really, and I hate to put it that way. You know, we get asked all the time, do we ever think that we're going to see an end to bullying? And my realistic answer is more than likely no, because I think the way kids get bullied is going to change. Clearly, social media was not even something that anybody, 20 years ago when I was getting bullied in middle school would even have thought of. And now this is the predominant method of how it happens now. But I think the easiest way of doing it is, and trying to the biggest effort we can put forth about trying to beat it, is to teach respect. You don't have to like everybody. There are plenty of people.
And I don't.
There are plenty of people who don't like me. There are plenty of people that I don't really, not on my high list of favorites. But liking somebody and respecting somebody are two totally different things.
Correct.
I don't like many people, but I respect them all.
Right.
Yeah.
And if that's something that's pushed, then I think that will go a long way. It's a respect game.
So you're a parent, your child's being bullied.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when the other parent is also a bully? So I have a story I remember when my middle son was young, and it was a friend of his who was being relentlessly harassed by another boy. The victim's dad happened to be a psychologist, and he approached the parent of the bully. I said, look, our guys don't like each other. That's fine. They don't have to. I'm talking to my son to stay away from your son, and I was hoping you might do the same. One day they'll grow up and maybe laugh about it. And the parent of the bully looked at this man and said, well, if your son wasn't so fat, he wouldn't get made fun of so much.
That's terrible.
It's unfathomable.
It's unfathomable. That's a great word. I mean, so how do you deal, as a parent, your heart is breaking for your child who's being bullied. What are the strategies for a parent to help their child through this?
Great question. The easiest thing I would say is, first of all, parents are usually not the first go-to person if a kid feels like they're being bullied. We actually did a partnership with Stony Brook University a couple years ago, and we did a survey, and we asked Long Island kids, completely anonymously, if they were being bullied, who would you go to first? And by almost like a 37-point margin, I think, out of 600 kids, they said, I would go to my friend first. Parent came even after a teacher.
Wow.
So
Why?
Why do you think that is?
Embarrassment.
Embarrassment. I
They
mean,
don't want to
and
let
I
their
can't-
parents know they're like failing at life or something. I've heard that.
It's an embarrassment thing. I did not want my parents to know that they had one of those kids that was being picked on. It was all in here because
Yeah.
my parents, when I told them, obviously their heart broke, but it's an embarrassment thing. It's a pride thing. There's a lot that goes into it, but. So I think recognizing the idea that more than likely the parent is not going to be the first go-to about it, you have to bring up open-ended questions that don't make it sound like it's an interrogation. For example, what do they think bullying is? Have they ever seen it? Who would you go to? Things like that, so that it's a conversation and not an
interrogation.
And exactly. You want them to feel like it's a non-judgmental conversation, so that they want to and feel comfortable sharing the information with you. If they feel like you're just, interrogating them because the next phone call is going to be to the school the next morning, which is often never what they want,
Yeah.
you're going to turn them off. In my case, there was no voluntarily offering the information. I was kind of forced to tell my mother. She really only understood how much was going on when they stole my glasses on the bus and they didn't give them back.
Oh.
And she started picking up on the idea that I was going to bed early, I was starting to not do well in school, I couldn't see the board,
Oh
I
my
would come home from school and want to watch TV. So that's something else. You have to be aware of the signs, assuming that you don't know. If they haven't come to you, your question was more if you know this is going on. If you don't know, you've got to be aware of what to look for. Changes in personality. In my case, I was a kid who loved coming home and watching TV after school. When a kid like that comes home every day and they want to do their homework and go right to bed at 6 o'clock,
That's terrible.
that's an obvious sign, a trigger that something might be going on. So look out for the signs, and then be able to be non-judgmental, because whatever they may tell you, it may hurt, it may upset you, but you have to be open to whatever answers you might get.
And
Well,
should
well,
parents, I'm sorry,
that's
should
okay.
parents first reach out to the school about an issue?
If it's a
That was my next, I was
yeah.
gonna ask you a question about that.
Great minds.
Yeah, great minds, but it's a follow-up.
Absolutely. I would almost never recommend that a parent confront another parent. It usually never works out well. I can literally count on two hands in the past 2 years how many examples I can give you of parents who said, the school has nothing to do with it, I'm going straight knocking on a door, and the police have gotten involved, punches have been thrown. It's never a good way to go unless you can have a great relationship with somebody, and often if it's amongst girls, it's usually kids who are friends with each other who end up becoming
Yeah.
bully and victim.
The girls are probably, where is it worse
I hear
with the boys or the
terrible
girls?
stories about girls.
I
don't
I
get
had
it.
a friend, when my children were young, my son had a friend that was getting bullied, and the parents went to the school, and the school, were just like, we can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Sometimes they
You-
want to blow it off.
It also depends. It used to be.
That was in grammar school.
It used to be so that if a child said they were being bullied and it didn't start in school or start home and follow them into school, there had to be a very distinct connection. Now, with the Dignity Act, there is a much clearer connection where schools can get involved now, and they can't be so hands-off anymore. It was very easy 20 years ago, before cyberbullying, really, when I would come home and my mother would say, well, they're picking on him, they're leaving him in the woods and stuff like that. And
They were doing that to you?
In the beginning, yeah.
How did that happen? How did something like that happen?
I wanted to make friends, so I went out with the neighborhood kids, and there was the neighborhood kids over the summer that ended up being the school bullies when school started. But the school couldn't have gotten involved in any of that because it didn't start there, and it really never followed me. Once it did, on the bus, on the playground, anything, that's an instant. Now the school can get involved, and now they can stay involved. Now it's easier for the schools to get involved.
What's an example, because I'd like to know, what's an example of what the girls are doing to each other now? Listen, you little monsters out there. I can't stand that. I have no tolerance. I've been in the
no
Bethpage
patience.
Preserve where I've seen one kid with maybe 5 kids around, and I swear on my life, I've walked up to the kid and go, is everything okay? Do you need help right now? Because it didn't look right. I run in that path all the time. And I swear something wasn't right.
The girls have there's 4 different types of bullying. There's physical, verbal, cyber, and relational. Relational is the one that most girls fall into, and they don't even really recognize it.
And they continue it on into adulthood.
The biggest example is intentionally excluding people from things. If you're in a big group of friends and you're going to have a
girls
sleepover,
still do it.
That's an example of relational bullying. They're using the power that they have to say, you know what, I'm going to invite 9 of you, but we're not going to invite her. And when that sort of thing starts to happen, then that's a prime example of what girls are doing. It's that kind of catty type
But
stuff.
what could you do about that? Somebody doesn't want to hang out with you, you got to go another way.
Ultimately, that's really what it ends up boiling down to. But
What advice do you have for a parent to give their child who is witnessing bullying with another child, and they want to intervene, and they want to help, and they want to be that victim's friend, but they're afraid to because they think they will then be bullied? How do we raise nice children to not accept bullying?
That's the upstander versus bystander conversation.
I would smack the hell out of my kids if I ever thought they were bullying anybody. I'd smack the hell out of you, and I'll tell you right now. I wouldn't tolerate it for a
For
second.
the record, I can't openly advocate any physical violence, however.
I'm telling you, I'll put you over my knee. Are most of the parents, when they find out about the kids bullying, are they on?
It depends. I've heard stories both ways and dealt with it in both ways. That accusation is a very heavy accusation to levy against a kid from a parent's perspective, because unfortunately there's 2 things at play there. One, you have to acknowledge that your kid may be doing wrong things, and the other thing is that you then have to get into the conversation of why are they doing that,
Yeah,
and then
which they
that
don't
can
wanna see
lead back
that.
to a potentially uncomfortable place. However, that's not to say that all kids don't own up to it, and some of them definitely do.
Are they remorseful, some of them?
Sure.
Do you think they're not remorseful at the time, but maybe down the line they look back and say, I was a
100%. In fact, I'll give you an example that happened to me. One of the kids who was a bully, one of my bullies younger. He actually ran into my dad in probably about a year or so ago, and my dad didn't notice who he was, but he tapped my dad on the shoulder, and he's reminded who he was, and he said, you know, I was never really nice to Joe back when we were kids, and I just want you to know that you know that I think about that, and I'm sorry for it.
Well, that's nice to hear that people grow up, and I hope that that's the rule more than the exception.
We're not done talking
there's
about
so
this.
much
I need to hear
I mean,
more.
there really is so much more.
We have to take a quick break, and we're going to come right back. Joe's going to stay on the couch with us through Just Asking and inside the living room, and I think even Christine's corner. So we're not going to exclude you. That's just not how we roll here in the living room.
I appreciate that.
We'll
Thank
be
you.
right back.
Have you heard? Laura's neighbors save thousands of dollars on their property taxes by using Zap My Tax. But her husband filed with the other property tax grievance company. He'll never make that mistake again. Laura went to zapmytax.com and got the savings she deserved. Zap My Tax, saving Long Islanders money on property taxes for over 25 years. Look for us in your mailbox or call 631-889-5500. Or you can sign online at zapmytax.com.
Hi
Welcome
guys,
back.
welcome back. I think Christine is prepping for to read something from our page, or Colleen's going to read something from our page.
Apparently one of our viewers has commented with an experience, Bonnie Jean, who I happen to know. She's actually the viewer who sent in my new haircut, with an experience that she has had with bullying. So I'm going to read that, and maybe Joe has some good advice for her. So let's see what Bonnie Jean has to say. And it's not in the photos, it would be here.
All right, well, you'll find it.
I got it right now.
Okay.
So Bonnie Jean says, my son was bullied in 7th grade. He was so emotionally hurt, he became physically sick. After weeks of medical texts, he finally told me he was being bullied. I was shocked. My heart was broken for him. I went to the principal, and she said there was nothing she could do. Bullying is so sad for all. And it is. So this is obviously, Bonnie Jean's son is grown up. He's a dad now and a police officer, I believe. So we don't have immediate advice for her, but along the lines of Bonnie Jean's question, as a parent, what is the best way when our children come to us? We have to ascertain why they're being bullied, and then what is the next step we should take for our children with authorities?
Well, the why is almost inconsequential. It really doesn't matter why they're being bullied, because often you may not know why.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and we were talking about this, you know, before, that you're not really sure why.
Right.
You know, you're thinking you're doing everything right. You're not doing anything that would make you a target. So the why is often, you know, it never matters. The school definitely has to be consulted, because something that may not have anything to do with the school today could very quickly have something to do with the school tomorrow. And with social media, everybody's walking around with it on their phone now. You know, you put something out on Snapchat on 7 o'clock on a Wednesday night, and guess what? When they go to school on Thursday morning, somebody is going to be talking about it, in which case now it brings it back to the school. So you have to go to the school, you have to consult the school, and you know what? In this day and age, it's very quickly jumping from a harassment or a bullying issue to aggravated harassment, where there can be criminal charges filed, where there could be police involvement. And
What's the percentage of boys or girls? Because I'm really interested. You said it's more girls than boys. Is it much higher with girls than it is with boys?
I think if you were to really be honest, you'd probably find that out, because they don't necessarily know that they're, you know, engaging in what's considered bullying behavior. You know, of course, you might attribute a bully to quicker being a boy. I do think that girls are slightly more vicious with each other in ways
please,
that
I know
boys
it.
are not.
I've seen it. Let me ask, you know, I'm going to just go a little quicker because I'm looking at the clock, but do you think that this stops in high school, or do you think it goes on to college?
We had definitely gotten some stories of the things that continue on to college. But when you're talking college, you're talking an entirely different
Now you're
ballgame.
adults.
Because now
Going to the police.
Now things can almost immediately can be a police issue. Where we were, and I get regular updates from a parent in our area whose daughter was being cyberbullied on Snapchat, and
Can't you just get off of Snapchat?
You could block them.
you can, of course, but when you block them and then they go ahead and make other profiles because you keep blocking the profile and they make a new one and make a new one and make a new one, it becomes relentless.
they're
It's really
harassing you.
frightening.
So wouldn't it be best for that person to just get off of social media for 6 months or
It
something?
would, except for the fact that in that particular case, there were actual threats made and to places that she would physically go to.
Okay.
So
Well, I mean,
you
that,
know.
well, that becomes a criminal.
And it is, and now
yeah.
it has been, there are
This is
detectives
crazy.
looking
I couldn't
into
even
this
imagine what kind
scenario.
of psychotic young person would do this.
A deeply, deeply, deeply troubled person.
And just targeting one person, or is that person targeting multiple people?
Good question. From last I heard, it was pretty much focused on this one particular individual.
And she just became a target.
Stems from the mother.
And
That's what I
and
always say.
it was a scenario where they were
Well-
openly engaging her to kill herself,
Oh
asking
my
her on a
God.
daily basis of why aren't you dead? I told you to kill yourself. You know, and
They
and
sticks from the
unfortunately,
head.
unfortunately, it's not the only case that where those lines have been used. Where they're openly encouraging.
Now, I know if the person's 18, 19, it's gotta be different, but if the person's 12, can't, isn't it the best thing for that person to just get off of social media so they can't be a target?
You then start, the more you get into this conversation, you open up whether or not, at what point in a kid's life do they need any of that social media to begin with.
My kids weren't allowed on until Christopher, until he went to college. That's when he was a senior in high school when I let him do Facebook.
I can't, it's, what you're saying is so upsetting.
It really is.
I can, I consider us 100% to be a necessary evil. I would love it if I could wake up tomorrow and didn't have to do this anymore.
Yeah,
Because
it's just
that way it would
absolutely
be, but
terrible.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, times are changing and it's making it,
Do you go into the schools and try to speak to them in like the gyms and just try to teach them how to be compassionate? And I always think they should have spirituality classes in school. Stop with some of the other nonsense and teach them how to really be kind and you don't have to read from the Bible, you don't have to read from any religion, but just teach people how to be kind.
well, but respect is non-denominational. That's
Exactly.
the beauty
Yeah.
of it. It really doesn't matter what your worship or the lack thereof. It's non-denominational. Respect is just something that if you want it, you have to give it. And and again, like I said earlier, that's going to be the only way we're ever successfully able to beat this back. If people realize and kids realize and parents are teaching their kids the importance of respect, then you will see a lot less of this, because you'll realize that just because you don't like somebody or you're having a bad day doesn't mean that you should have permission to torture somebody else.
Right, exactly. And women do that in adulthood. I mean, I've been excluded from things. Women, they take it to, I'm 52, I see it even to this day that women are like that. I mean, they're not necessarily bullies in other ways. First of all, I don't open myself up to any of it.
Well,
but,
that's what I was gonna say.
I don't
think
hang
as
out with a
adults-
big crew.
Yeah.
Because that's one of my things. I don't need a lot of people. I don't like that whole crew thing with tons of people and cliques. It's just,
As adults, I think we are stronger and we become comfortable
women
with
still
who we
do it.
are, and we don't,
men don't do it.
Yeah. I don't know so much. I just stay away from people like that. What's next for LICAB? You have some exciting events coming up.
What is it?
Tell
What
us
is
how
the
we
name
can
of it?
reach you.
What is it like?
Long Island Coalition
Oh,
Against
that's what it
Bullying,
says.
LICAB.
We have our 5th year anniversary is actually September 5th, so it's quickly
Wow.
galloping.
Congratulations.
Where is that going to be?
Well, we're celebrating it at our annual gala every year. So this year, we usually have a fall gala. This year it will still be at the same time, but this year the focus is going to be the celebration of the 5-year milestone.
That's awesome.
It's going on October 20th at Woodside Club in Syosset. Beautiful, beautiful venue, and
That's great.
we're very excited. And you know what? The way I look at it is the 5 years was the warm-up period.
Yeah.
5 years into it, we're only just getting started. So.
Cheers.
Fantastic.
Cheers
That
to
is
you.
really great.
God bless.
www.licab.org. If you have a question or a problem, please reach out to Joe Salamone on their website, or you can look for Long Island Coalition Against Bullying on Facebook and send them a message through that. And your phone number, if anybody wants to call,
516-777-7709.
easy to remember. We'll
Yeah.
be right back.
We'll be right back with Inside the Living Room.
Hi, I'm Roger,
And I'm Steve.
and we own this house together.
Zap My Tax was so successful with our tax grievance.
We saved over $1,700 in our first year alone. And now we're signing up again.
In fact, we are so happy with Zap My Tax, we decided to save even more money and use Zap My Insurance as well.
Zap My Tax and Zap My Insurance. 2 great choices and 2 great ways to save money.
Welcome back, guys. We are going to do a little inside the living room with Joe Salamone. We're just going to throw some random questions at him just to kind of see what kind of person he is deep down inside. This might get crazy. If we ask something that's a little too much for you, just hold up your hand and plead the fifth. I got that from Rudy, the Rude Rangers. All right, we'll start
Or
off
I'll
with something.
silently sip my wine.
Sip your wine, sip your wine. If you could live anybody else's life, whose would you live?
Ooh, that's a really good question, actually. I don't.
Tick, 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 tick.
It's very hard on the spot. I totally get it.
Come back to that.
Okay, I'm gonna keep that one on the I'm gonna keep that one on the table. Okay, Chris, you're up.
Best purchase you ever made?
Best purchase I've ever made.
Favorite purchase?
My LASIK eye surgery.
Oh,
Really?
Very
Oh, that's a
jealous.
good
I
one.
really want to
Yeah.
do that.
Oh, I like that one. Well, you know what
It's a
happens
cost
though.
savings. That's really why I did it.
Well, I'm just gonna tell you, when you start ticking up there around 49, 50, you're gonna have to wear reading glasses,
Well,
and then
luckily,
boom.
I had it at 25, and they said, we'll get you to 50, and then we can't guarantee.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
listen,
yeah.
if you get me 25 years without having to put on glasses,
Take
I know, it
I will
is-
take it.
I
I'll
regret
take it,
not
yeah.
doing that. I regret not doing that
Well,
because,
It
you
was
know,
nerve-wracking, but I'm glad I did
you
it.
did
Yeah.
2 eyes at
It-
once?
Yep.
Yeah.
In and out, 20 minutes.
I know,
Wow.
it's amazing.
Did you no, you wear contacts
No,
too.
I have contact lenses, and of course, from the minute I got glasses and got cold 4 eyes, I wanted to get contact lenses, and I would love to get the LASIK eye surgery done because
It
the
was-
contacts are just.
It's so
too much work.
But then you have to wear the readers anyway.
I have to wear the readers on top of them. It's-
So there you go. This is what happens when you're old. When you were going to start your business, did you ask lots of people opinions, or did you just ask a few people, or did you just say, head on, I'm gonna do it no matter what anybody says?
I was pretty confident that I was going to do it regardless, but I did ask a lot of people, and I still to this day ask a lot of people. I have a lot of go-to key people. I am always a person who believes that you're never done learning, that there's always something out there that you can still learn.
Amen,
So,
brother.
if I at 31 years old, think I have all the answers, then I've made a big misstep somewhere in the world. So I always ask a lot of people a lot of
I
questions.
admire your honesty.
What's your perfect Saturday night?
Dinner at home with a glass of wine and
Amen, brother.
dinner at home, glass of wine. I'm not really a party guy. If me and my significant other, if one was ever there, was let's just hang out at home. I'm totally down.
That's it.
Me too.
In 60 seconds or less, describe your morning beauty routine.
Well, the
Do you
fact
have
that
one?
the fact that God took my hair at 18 kind of made my morning beauty routine a little
Well, you know what it
easier,
is,
but,
that obviously you're on the couch with 2 women. Our morning routine, I think mine takes about 25 minutes, start to finish. Shower, blow drying the
Yeah,
hair, the makeup.
I'm about
so,
the same.
it's interesting to know, what do you do? You
wear
wake up, you
sunscreen.
shower?
I do wear sunscreen, although I have lately fallen victim to preferring to turn. I'm Sicilian, and yet Casper is the only thing that I.
Yeah, I
ever
don't know what's
do.
going on there. If you're Sicilian, you should be a little bit like me.
Unfortunately, more of the northern Italian
Yeah.
comes out more. I have.
Do you feel the
skincare
pressure to
regimen
groom every
and-
day? You have to shave every day
Luckily,
or no?
it takes me about a week and a half to get even a 5 o'clock.
Stop
shower.
it.
So
Wow.
shaving
30
is
Oh,
not
he's a
something I need to
hairless
worry
wonder
about.
like
She's
me.
a hairless wonder too.
My morning routine's pretty easy.
Pretty quick.
Your morning routine sounds
Shower, go.
sounds like it's less than 60 seconds.
Shower, go.
Okay.
Other than the typical things like family and good friends, what are you most grateful for?
That's another kind of loaded question. I'm grateful for the opportunity to get up every day and learn something new.
Beautiful.
I'm grateful for every day of being able to hopefully help somebody else. The way I like to look at life is, when you're throwing a rock in a lake, it's not necessarily the impact of the rock that makes the difference. It's the ripples that the rock makes.
I love that.
I totally
So-
agree.
I love that.
That was a great way. So make a change in someone else's life, and it's going to affect people all around that person. We are going to come right back with Christine's Corner. I'm going to give Jo 3 minutes while she's doing that to think about who else's life you'd like to live. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Roger.
And I'm Steve.
And we own this house together.
Zap My Tax was so successful with our tax grievance.
We saved over $1,700 in our first year alone. And now we're signing up again.
In fact, we are so happy with Zap My Tax, we decided to save even more money and use Zap My Insurance as well.
Zap My Tax and Zap My Insurance. Two great choices and two great ways to save money.
Welcome back to the living room. We've been talking with Joe Salamone from the Long Island Coalition Against Bullying about some really heavy topics. So we're gonna go out today with a really easy Christine's Corner. I had to buy some greeting cards this week, like 5 or 6 of them.
Wow.
Have you seen what they cost?
$4 a card.
Oh my gosh, there were some that were over $6 a card.
It's insane.
And being thrifty, I
What'd
went
you
to
do?
my handy dandy little thrift cabinet and I realized mine is maybe more extensive than others, but you can find for 99 cents in Walmart and Michael's Craft Store little things to make a card. This little pad was about $1.29 and it's got all different printed papers.
That's cute.
So I took them, folded them in half, some stickers, a hole punch with a little ribbon.
It's adorable.
Tied together, 2 different prints. This is a little fish I cut out from some fabric. You can buy these little squares of fabric in Walmart for 97 cents.
I can't stand it.
Different little hearts put together. I don't know how well these are translating on camera, but we'll put pictures of them on the living room page for you to see.
I'm a man compared
Look
to
at
Christine.
how adorable these are. Joe, I know that you are a lover of all things Christmas.
I am.
Oh my
Look at
God,
that.
I want to hear about that.
2
Chris,
different...
Adorable.
Aren't they so cute? Look, another Christmas one.
Love
So
it.
listen, don't
99
bully.
cents.
Send somebody a really pretty card. Stop. Real
Here you
boys
go.
don't bully.
Tell them
I
you
can't
like them.
stand it.
Look how cute.
Thank you, Joe, so much for coming
Thank
on
you
the
very
show.
much for having
We're
me,
gonna
guys.
get you
Bye.
with that question.
Yes.
Thanks, guys, for tuning into the living room. We will see you next Wednesday. Oh
Thanks,
my God.
everybody.
Thank you.
Taking over every stadium to shock the souls of this millennium.